I was digging through some obscure articles and old listings trying to find something for this week's video when I came across something that seemed too ridiculous to be real. Your typical Cadillac Eldorado front-wheel drive luxury coupe from the 90s with not one, but two TwinStar V8 engines. One under the hood and another sitting in the trunk. It's called the Mosler TwinStar, and yes, it was real. This wasn't some factory project from Cadillac, but it also wasn't a concept car or a one-off for a magazine shoot or something. This was a conversion that any Eldorado owner with enough cash could actually go out and get done. Back in the early 2000s, Mosler Automotive offered it as a legitimate upgrade, and not too many people took the chance on it as you would expect. So in this week's video, I'm covering the Mosler TwinStar, a forgotten all-wheel drive 2 V8 Cadillac-based super coupe that almost nobody talks about anymore. Let's break down how it came to be, what made it special, and why it's one of the most bizarre road-legal builds ever made. But first, some background. Mosler Automotive wasn't your typical car company. Founded by Warren Mosler, an economist and hedge fund manager, the company made a name for itself with strange, lightweight, track-focused cars that pushed the limits of what people expected from American engineering. Mosler's first notable creation was the Consular GTP, a bizarre fiberglass-bodied sports car that was so fast and unorthodox it ended up being banned from competing. The car weighed under 2,200 pounds and had a mid-mounted Chrysler 2.2 turbo engine. It wasn't pretty, at least in my opinion, but it embarrassed Corvettes and Porsches on a track given the opportunity. The Consular was followed by cars like the Intruder and Raptor, both based on lightweight philosophies. Eventually, Mosler would go on to build the MT900, a supercar with carbon fiber construction and LS power that was sold in extremely limited numbers. Despite its small size, Mosler Automotive had a habit of building things no one else dared to do. And that's where the TwinStar fits in. While not a supercar in the traditional sense, it was a radical rethinking of what a Cadillac could be. The TwinStar started with a relatively simple idea. What if you added another engine to the already powerful Cadillac Eldorado? The stock Eldorado came with a 275 to 300 horsepower TwinStar V8 depending on the trim, powering the front wheels through a 4-speed automatic. But in Mosler's version, they dropped a second TwinStar engine in the trunk and turned it into a mid/rear engine all-wheel drive contraption. Each engine operated independently. They had their own transmissions, their own ECUs, fuel delivery systems, coolings, and controls. One ran the front wheels and the other powered the rear. There was no sophisticated synchronization like you find in a modern dual-motor EV, just two separate drivetrains working together to move the same car. The concept was born from an offhand comment at Mosler's Florida facility. Quote, "Why not just put two TwinStars in it?" End quote, and that joke became a reality. Performance was impressive. Mosler claimed 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. Car and Driver tested one in 2000 and got 0 to 60 in 5 seconds flat, with the quarter mile coming in at 13.4 seconds at 108 miles per hour. For a nearly 4,800-pound luxury coupe from the early 2000s, that's seriously quick. Road and Track also remarked on how surprisingly composed the TwinStar felt despite its Frankenstein drivetrain. According to Mosler's own ad, Mosler Automotive introduces the TwinStar, a unique twin-engine Cadillac Eldorado with performance to rival and even surpass the world's supercars. With a combined 600 horsepower from its front and mid-mounted TwinStar engines, all-wheel drive, and traction control, there are few cars that can challenge the performance of the TwinStar, and even fewer that can rival its combination of stunning performance with Cadillac luxury. That ad wasn't just marketing fluff. Well, okay, it sort of was, but it wasn't entirely wrong. The TwinStar came loaded with everything the base Eldorado offered. Heated leather seats, digital gauges, a premium sound system, and plenty of Cadillac refinement. But unlike anything else Cadillac ever built, it also had a second V8 where the spare tire used to go. To make room for the rear engine, Mosler lengthened the back of the car by about 6 inches, adding cooling vents ahead of the rear wheels and fitted a modified rear subframe. The license plate was relocated and the trunk, of course, was gone. But from the outside, unless you were looking closely, it still looked like a mildly customized Eldorado, right? Or is it super obvious? The car's oddball charm also drew in some unique owners. Clarence Clemens, saxophonist for Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, reportedly owned one, and of course Jay Leno had one as well. Hagerty featured the car in a retrospective on rare Cadillac builds, emphasizing its offbeat performance and rarity. In total, only 5 Mosler TwinStars were ever built. That number is often disputed, but multiple sources, including Hagerty, Car and Driver, and Supercars.net, settle around 5 completed units. There was a period where Mosler offered the conversion for about $30,000 if you supplied the Eldorado, and as we just heard, not many people did. For context, that's around $57,000 in today's money on top of the cost of the car itself. A base Eldorado was around $70,000 in today's money, so well over $120,000. The reason so few were made probably comes down to a mix of cost, complexity, and definitely practicality. Fuel economy was bad, maintenance was tricky, and insurance was probably a nightmare. And with a trunk-mounted V8 generating tons of heat, driving in traffic was probably uncomfortable at best. But what the TwinStar represented was something more than just specs and numbers. It was the idea that someone could take an ordinary front-wheel drive Cadillac coupe and turn it into a pseudo-supercar. It wasn't factory-backed. It wasn't part of some Cadillac performance initiative. It was just one guy with an idea, the engineering chops to pull it off, and the willingness to actually build it. Around this time, Cadillac themselves were exploring bold new ideas too. In 2003, they revealed the Cadillac 16 concept, a massive, elegant luxury sedan with a 13.6-liter V16 making 1,000 horsepower. It was sleek, powerful, and completely impractical. But people loved it. Even though it never reached production, it showed that there was still imagination left in Detroit. I've always thought the Cadillac 16 was one of their more interesting concepts, and the Mosler TwinStar kind of reminded me of it. What fascinates me most is that the TwinStar wasn't just a magazine cover car, it could have been in your driveway. If you had an Eldorado and enough cash, $120,000, this wasn't some inaccessible fantasy. It was a buildable, road-going thing, and that makes it special. It's been over 20 years now, and the TwinStar remains one of the strangest builds in Cadillac-adjacent history. Most people haven't heard of it, even fewer have seen one, so if you have, please share your experience in the comments. We'd all love to hear your story. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. If you enjoyed learning about the Mosler TwinStar and want to see more like it, be sure to leave a like and let me know what other strange builds or rare conversions you want me to go over next. With that said, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will try and see you all next week.